Hi everybody, thanks for watching. So a few weeks ago I did a little series called Quick Tips for Your Mavic Pro. And it turned out it was pretty successful. I got a lot of positive feedback on it, so I decided I'm going to continue that series. So in that video I talked about how to use your histogram. I talked about the importance of getting out into wide open spaces when you're learning how to fly your Mavic Pro. And finally I talked about how addictive the Mavic Pro can be as a hobby. Now today I have 3 new tips for you, and what I'm going to talk about today is the importance of antenna position on your controller. I'm going to talk about some of the things you can do to learn how to fly your Mavic more efficiently and become better skilled at flying it. And lastly, and most importantly, you guys, I'm going to tell you guys something that no one ever told me before I bought my Mavic Pro, and that's my fault. But hopefully I can provide you with this information that will help you when you first get your Mavic Pro. So let's get right to it. Okay, I gotta get a new intro because that one's getting a little bit boring. The first tip that I have for you guys today is on antenna position. Now for the first month when I was flying my Mavic, I always thought the antennas should be in the straight out position. And so when I was flying my Mavic, I kept getting the lost signals, or I kept getting the weak signal, and I was just getting really frustrated with it. At first I was blaming my phone. I thought I had a crappy phone. And then I got a new cable because I thought maybe the cable was the problem, but I got a really nice cable and that didn't do anything as far as the signal. And then people started pointing out in my videos that, hey, you got your antennas positioned incorrectly. They should be like this. And so finally I looked it up and I see that your antennas need to be at about a 45-degree angle. And the reason for that is at the tips of your antenna, there is no signal coming out of the tips, out of the ends of your antenna. And so if you have them pointing straight towards your Mavic, you know, they're going to get some signal, of course, but there's kind of a big signal gap right there because the signal comes off the flat ends of the antenna. So if you have them set at a 45-degree angle, you're going to have the best signal. My second tip for you guys is orientation practice. You know, one of the best flight drills, at least for me, has been to position the Mavic right in front of me and try flying it while it's facing me. Because the problem is, when the drone is facing you, everything is backwards. When you try to go left, it actually goes right. When you try to go right, it goes left. And it's really hard to do if you're not used to flying something, you know, and using opposite controls. You know, getting used to flying a drone as it faces you will really help you with your overall control as you fly. And ultimately, it's going to lead to smoother footage when you're flying without using any of the intelligent flight modes on the Mavic Pro. You know, it can also help you in those rare times that maybe when the obstacle avoidance doesn't work. For example, like when you're flying amongst some trees with some really thin tree branches, you know, the Mavic Pro can't see a lot of those things. And so if you're more able to control the drone, you're going to avoid those situations. Now, my final tip for you guys is something that I wish I would have known before I purchased my Mavic. Now, it would not have prevented me from purchasing my drone, but it would have helped having this knowledge before I flew. What I wish I would have known is that there are so many places that you can't fly a drone. You know, I always thought that when you get a drone, you can just fly it wherever you want it, and you just needed to be courteous about it. You know, just don't make anybody angry. But the fact is there are so many rules and regulations about flying unmanned aircraft systems, or they call them UASs, and that's what the Mavic Pro is. You know, you can't fly over people, you can't fly over occupied vehicles, above sporting events, you can't fly in national parks. Most state parks you can't fly in. You can't fly closer to an airport than 5 miles unless you call the control tower and let them know where you're flying, how high you're flying, how long you're going to be flying, and then there's all kinds of other things about airspace that I didn't know, and I actually had to find out by reading after I got my drone. So, you know, that kind of prevented me from doing a lot of things because I was kind of scared to fly my Mavic for a while because I didn't know if I could fly there. And you know what's even more confusing is that there also are some different community-based guidelines for everywhere you fly. So if you're going to be going somewhere and you're not sure what the rules are, go ahead and call ahead. I'm not sure who you would call, but there's got to be someone out there. Maybe call the control tower to wherever you're flying and find out what the rules and regulations are for that community. Now, there's a mobile app out there. It's called Before You Fly. Many of you probably have heard of it, or most of you probably have it if you already have a drone. But it's a real-time based app, so you can see if there's any special restrictions or requirements about where you're going to fly, because it's good to have that information because it's always changing. You know, there might be an event going on, or maybe there's, you know, been some aircraft issues in the area and they don't want anybody flying a drone. So make sure you download that Before You Fly app. I don't use it a whole lot because when I fly, I'm typically out in a remote area, or at least I'm out somewhere where I know there's not going to be any issues, because I've got into some situations where I've been flying my drone where I wasn't supposed to be and somebody called me out on it. And so I'm kind of gun shy about that stuff, and so I try to fly out in the open, or at least around, just around my yard or something like that. Basically what I'm telling you guys is do your research ahead of time. Like I said, I'm gonna learn by immersion guy, but this is actually one of those things that I wish I would have learned and researched before I got my Mavic Pro. So that's all for today's video, you guys. If you get any information out of this, if you get any value from it, I ask that you please click on that thumbs up. That really helps me out, helps this channel out, and it makes me feel good. And as always, like I say, it makes you feel good too. If you're not subscribed to this channel, if you're not a regular subscriber, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. I ask that you do that to help build this community. I'm pretty proud of the people that I have as my subscribers because they're really friendly, nice people. There's been just a couple of people that, call me an idiot, because I don't read the manual. But overall, I think we're at 1,300 really awesome people, and we'd love to have more people because we'd like to visit about the Mavic Pro, we'd like to visit about flying drones. And so you guys, if you're not a subscriber, please join us. If you got any comments or you got any questions about this video or about anything at all in the Mavic Pro that maybe I can help you out with, go ahead and put those in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. As always, guys, I appreciate you very much. Fly safe and fly smart.